following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hi everyone, I'm Christine.
I'm Jada.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit. Hey, welcome everyone.
Welcome,
Hi Jada.
welcome. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. I started my crowdfunding this week.
Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Everyone, please support.
Thank you.
So exciting.
I am leaving on July 29th, and I'm heading to Kentucky to film the winner, the jockey who was the winning horse in the 1970 Kentucky Derby. And then once I finish filming him, then I'm heading to Virginia, and I'm going to come see you, by the way. I'm heading to Virginia, and then I am shooting the documentary on the first woman female jockey who was allowed to race in the Kentucky Derby in 1970. And that's very exciting. So I'm crowdfunding for that. And that is some exhausting stuff. That is a full effing time job on top of everything else.
You have to get, I don't even know how it works. You just reach out to people in your network and ask them for support. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it's tough times.
Yeah.
Most of the people I know in LA, there's strikes going on here right now for the writers. The actors just went on strike today, and which means that the strikes will probably go on till after the holidays. And so there are going to be a lot of people financially suffering here. And here I am asking for people to help me fund my documentary. I mean, I feel bad, but I have to keep working on my career as well. And my career is in reality television. So, I have a really big opportunity right now with the actors and writers on strike to be able to move my projects faster. And we have to get this documentary in the can so that we can get it sold. And that will help me. That will start the change of, my life. That's a big deal. I have to keep moving forward, and I know that people in the industry support me and I support them. I mean, I believe in their strike. I do. But I'm not in the same boat as them. So, I'm paddling right beside them in a different boat.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to share your details and pass along to whomever I can. I'm happy to do so. Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm on a fundraiser platform right now, but we realized today when we went to do some more information inside of it that it's charging us a lot more than what they originally said they were going to charge us. So we're going to lose a bunch of money. So we're kind of switching over to my Venmo. And for those out there who are interested in helping support us, we've got 4 projects in the pipeline. We're doing a documentary for the woman jockey. It's called Darling of the Derby. I'm shooting a short film in October called Tree Line. It's a psychological horror film. And right now I have the sizzle reel for the travel show, Road Trip in Argentina. And I have the sizzle reel for the docu-series Hollywood Dreams, The Unexpected Journey. So what I'm doing is I'm transferring over to Venmo. And so for those of you out there who want to support, I will announce my Venmo here, but I also put it in the show notes. It is at Christine dash Lalonde, and it's LALONDE. So thank you. I appreciate everybody's help. So Jada, your turn.
Yes.
What are you up to?
Crazy, exciting week. I think, first of all, I'm so blessed and thankful to be able to have a job that I love in matchmaking, and having my own company allows me to do what I want to do. So I had a colleague reach out to me Sunday night at like 11 o'clock, and she's like, "Hey, I've got tickets to Erykah Badu in Philly tomorrow. Can you make it?" I was like, sure. So went to Philly on Monday, got back yesterday, had a ton of client meetings today and client meetings throughout the week, but it was an awesome experience. So
I love it.
I'm good. I'm good.
I love it. How's your dating life going?
Dating life is going. It's going.
Yeah.
It's definitely going. I will say that I can relate to my clients on so many levels, but
yeah.
I will also say I have absolutely no complaints right now.
So I love that.
I'll leave it there.
Well, I will tell you I made a little mistake.
Oh, what happened?
Well, in the last couple of days, I've been sending out mass text messages with my GoFundMe account on it for the crowdfunding. And I realized after I did the mass texts to everyone that I have a shit ton of numbers in my phone still from previous people I've dated, and they all seem to think that me sending out a crowdfunding, will you help sponsor or donate, that is their cue to call and ask me out and ask if they can come over and hang out, aka sexy time.
Yeah,
and I've had to let them all know that was not an invitation. That was a request for a business thing.
Oh my gosh. I hope it's not
a personal thing.
One of the ones.
Girl, they're just
you're like, there's so many, Jada. I can't even.
They're coming out of the woodworks, and I really need to sit down and focus and go into my phone and remove some numbers. I am bad.
But you know what? I think that says a lot about like you and your journey in your life. You're not even, they're so irrelevant in your mind and your space right now that it's just like, yeah.
I know. I called my boyfriend and I was like, I kind of hit up some exes for some money.
I'm sure that went well.
I was thinking if every guy in the last 13 years that I dated or had sex with donated $1, I'd actually have my funding.
That's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
It's funny. It's great.
Yeah.
It's terrible. What can I say? What can I say? Well, at least I'm honest about it.
You are honest.
I have nothing, no shame in the game.
Nothing to hide.
No shame in the game.
Nothing to hide.
No, I've been so open in this podcast that if y'all don't know, I like where I am and who I am in my life, and I don't care if I had a lot of sex. I've got great practice. I mean, I don't care.
But that's why people follow you and they love you, because you're so real. So that's good.
I'm pretty real.
Yeah.
Well, we have a great show for you today. It's a little bit different than what I'm talking about right now. My hoe bag self. We have this incredible guy who's in our dating group who I spoke to a while back about coming on the show, and then life happened and he reached back out, and I'm so glad he did, because today we're talking about spiritual approach to divorce. Now, I'm really interested to talk about this because I'm not really sure. Hopefully I can come up with some intelligent questions to ask him.
You and me both.
Right? But today, really, what we're talking about is whether you ask for the divorce or not. The process of divorcing is challenging and it's confusing and it can be really heartbreaking. But divorce doesn't have to be tough, he says. Notice I said he says.
He says, yeah.
He says that it can be meaningful and serve a higher purpose. Now, I'm going to agree with him on this. I do think that it can be meaningful and a higher purpose when you get past the anger or the resentment or the pain. Because when I was going through my divorce, and for, oh my God, I've been divorced for 13 years now. And it wasn't until like a year ago that I actually could see a higher purpose and a meaning in it. So he says, with the right spiritual outlook, mindset, and practice, one can not only survive divorce, but thrive as well. And I wish that I had had this advice when I was getting a divorce. So I really hope that this is meaningful and helpful for all of you out there. So today we're talking to Noam Rauscher, and I hope I said that right. Rauscher. He is an ordained rabbi. He's an educator and he's a certified divorce coach. He focuses on healthy and pro-special masculinity. I don't know what that is, so we're going to ask him about that. Spiritual growth, relationships, and divorce. And he has a great, huge, awesome background in extensive work and experience as a guide and a counselor to thousands of individuals who come to him from all walks of life. So let's bring him on and let's have a chat with him and see how we can make this a spiritual approach to divorce.
Woo.
Hey, Noam.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Welcome.
Jada. Hi, Christine.
Hi. Thank you for being with us today. We appreciate
it's a pleasure.
you.
I'm glad we could work this out.
Me too. So what did pro-special masculinity? What is that?
That might be a typo on my part. I have particularly fat thumbs, and every now and then they misspell things. So
I was like hoping it wasn't,
No, it
because
should-
I was
it
like,
should-
am I dumb?
no, you're not at all. It should say healthy and pro-social masculinity.
Oh.
I'm going to change that. So when I put it in the show notes, it actually says the right thing. Oh my good grief. So hi, thank you for being here today. I really want to, I really am excited to talk about this actually,
Yeah.
because, I really went through it with my divorce, and I think Jada, if I don't want to speak for her, but I think, sister here might have had
Yeah.
had a moment in our spirit, in our divorce journey. Okay, I changed that, by the way. So tell us, I really wish there was a handbook a lot sooner. We got to get you out there more, Noam, because
I agree on that. Yeah.
people really need help. I can't tell you when I was, I almost said whoring around, but I actually meant to say dating around. I'm kidding. This is all jokes. I don't think I'm a whore. I just think I'm a very, wild one.
You're sexually positive. There's nothing wrong
I
with
am
that. There really
sexually
isn't.
positive. Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being sex positive.
Thank you. So, Noam, I really wish that I had a guidance, because for 10 or 12 years, I was angry. I was bitter. I was pissed off. Anytime I could get a jab in, I would. It just, because he was so condescending. He was so narcissistic. He gaslit me all the time. It was my marriage times 100. The divorce was horrendously harder than my marriage. That at times I was like, shit, I'd rather stay in the marriage, because it was crappy, but at least it wasn't like the divorce. And I know a lot of people are going through some rough times when they go through a divorce. And
Yeah.
if there's a way that we could part in a better way, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So tell us how your approach to this spiritual way of making this divorce easier.
Sure. Yeah. I want to say also, I think it's awesome that I'm on a podcast where there's a disclaimer about language and content beforehand. That elevates my game like tenfold. I've never done anything
Dude.
like that. So like, that's pretty cool, Rabbi. And I want to say
I swore in when we started this out, in the back of my head, I was like, you idiot, there's a rabbi coming on. But I got to tell you, I do a lot of Jewish weddings, and I do a lot of what is it? I'm sorry, Noam, I just drew a blank. Like kosher weddings, so it's a lot more strict.
Yeah.
And all my clients know I'm tattooed. I swear.
Amen, sister.
And they don't care. Every rabbi I've ever talked to has been so cool. They don't care. Well, and that means a lot to me because I am crazy.
Let me put it this way. Every rabbi I know, male or female, is a spiritual soldier. And in that regard, they've seen some pretty gnarly stuff. No question about it. No question about it. And so anything you say or do, or with your blue hair, or your multiple tattoos, that ain't nothing we haven't seen before, ladies.
I love it. Oh, it's so funny. I had a rabbi one time. Oh my God. It wasn't a good thing. I only had rabbi one time in my career go into the kitchen where my chef was. And the chef was a beautiful girl who was 3 times as many tattoos as me. Sure, her arms are sleeves. And he walked up to her and he said, your tattoos are going to send you to hell. Ugh. And she lost her absolute mind, and she went off on him. And then she came to me and she was so upset. And I said, I'll take care of it. And you know what's crazy is here I am walking around with blue hair, tattoos, and saying everything under the sun that's a naughty word. And that rabbi was so nice to me. And I was like, what happened here? If she's going to hell, I'm throwing the party for it. Yeah. I mean,
and I'll be the first one in attendance. Absolutely. Yeah. That sounds like that guy really overstepped his boundaries.
It was wild. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So I'm really excited to hear, how do we have a spiritual journey through divorce?
Sure. I want to also say, I think divorce can be tough for everyone involved, right? No question about it. Whether you ask for the divorce or whether you're the person getting informed of the divorce, it's difficult for everyone involved. The point is to say, though, that it can also be meaningful if you choose for it to be. And I think that really means kind of embracing the transition, this major life transition that you probably really didn't expect to happen. You were all settled into your marriage and your family life. And then all of a sudden divorce comes. And again, either if you're the one who asked for it or didn't ask for it, right, it shifts everything. And what you think happens on the other side doesn't really happen, or at least it's some assumption that you have, because once you get on the other side, reality tends to be very different. But so I think it can be really meaningful. And the context I usually couch it in for any one of my clients is that of the hero's journey. This was a concept championed by Professor Joseph Campbell in the book, The Hero Has 1,000 Faces. And he talks about the archetype of the hero in Greek mythology and lots of other cultural mythology, one that even runs in Judaism for that matter. And it's the idea that the hero goes on this journey, but the journey has 3 major stages to it. There's the departure, the leaving what's familiar to them. There's the ordeal, right? We're going down into abyss, and there's usually a wrestling match or a tension of some kind of conflict that is really, if not defining, life-changing in that way, and I would say for the better. And then there is the return, right? Going back to where you started from, but obviously being a different person. You can see this in movies or literature as someone, going up a mountain and then coming down it, right? Or maybe coming back from something and having a beard or looking completely different in some other way. And that's how you know the journey has kind of occurred. And I think if you look carefully at a lot of modern storytelling, that theme runs throughout.
Yeah.
And so what I say to my clients about divorce is that, look, you've departed what was familiar, that family life that you had, that married life that you had, and you've left towards this ordeal known as divorce. And I think we all know it's an ordeal, and it can all feel like a deep abyss at times, one that can be confusing and burdensome, like a Bermuda's Triangle. You're just totally lost. And for many people, it can also be really suffocating. I know very few people, and I wish them well, and I certainly hope this is true for other people, but they have a pleasant and healthy and friendly divorce. But that seems to be less the case. Now, that may just be my experience, and the clients that I meet with, but it also could just be, right, that they've really worked hard with their ex to make sure that it's a much more healthy thing and that it is friendly. That probably takes a lot of work and a lot of intentionality to it.
Well, I gotta say that when I got a divorce from my older two daughters' dad, we were going down that path, and he knew it. He knew we were more friends than husband and wife, lovers, whatever you want to call it. And neither one of us were really happy. And we knew we were going down that path. But then when I finally said, hey, I'm filing, he lost his shit. But I will say, though, to his credit and to mine, we actually had an incredibly healthy divorce. We got one attorney, and he paid for it. Wow. And I picked it, though, and I got what I wanted out of it. And I gave him a lot of leeway. I did not take alimony or any of that stuff. And we really had nothing to divide up. We had kids, so that was the most important thing. We just signed it and went on our merry way, and we raised our kids separately, and it was fine. Right. It was my last husband that was a shit show.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But it was me having to heal myself in my own way that caused me to stop and sit back and go, what am I doing? I could really care less. I'm only hurting myself. I'm only hurting my daughter when she knows I'm suffering. And I finally told his wife, I made friends with her and said, you guys deserve to be happy. And I'm sorry that anything I've been angry or bitter about has affected that in any way. And she said, you've had to go through your thing. I understand it too. And my daughter later came to me and goes, she does stick up for you to dad quite a bit. And I was thinking, oh, thank God, because can you imagine the shit show I'd be going through again if she didn't interfere sometimes?
That's really lucky. You got someone on the inside helping you out.
Yeah, that was nice. So I do know that it is important to find a healthy balance. I mean, when I used to date, men would come on a date and bitch and moan and complain about child support, alimony, the ex-wife, what they did, what they didn't do. And I was thinking, wow, it's going to just really set you back years and years. And that's sad.
Yeah.
So how do we approach this in a better way?
So I think part of it is automatically accepting that uncertainty is going to be part of the journey, right? That you don't really know what's going to happen, but that can be to your benefit, right? Uncertainty is the thing that causes you to unfold and find hidden strengths that you didn't know were there, right? And that allows you to adapt and grow. And in that process, I usually remind my clients of 5 different things that are important for a spiritual practice when it comes to going through this journey, so that you can depart, go through the ordeal, and return home stronger and more wise than you were before. I'll bring it to you in short, and then I'll go into them more specifically. The first is roll with the changes, right? There's a great REO Speedwagon song, Roll with the Changes, played in the background. Listen to it every day. Remind yourself that to roll with the changes. The second is to practice tough hope, which is a lot like tough love, but tough hope. The third is to remember there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in, a la Leonard Cohen.
Oh, yeah. Say that again.
There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
That's beautiful.
I'll come back to that as well. It's a big one.
Okay.
The fourth is forgiveness.
I think that people, I'm sure you're going to go into this too, but people also need to learn to forgive themselves for...
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely part of it. No question about it. And then the fifth is be curious.
Okay.
And the overall goal is not only to get through the journey and all those stages, but to also come out on the other side with what I call spiritual abs, right? Abs are, we know, the things that keep you balanced, right? That it's the core, right? That keeps you standing strong. If you were to walk into the ocean, right, and plant your feet and the waves come in, it would be the abs, the core muscles that you have that keep you standing strong. So the hope is that you go through this process and the strength that you come up with provides you with balance, because you now have the spiritual abs from the practice by which that you've gone through with the whole divorce. So let's get into that.
I wish that spiritual abs gave you real abs.
So did I. I've tried, actually. I've prayed on that multiple times, and yet nothing happens.
Right? All right. Let's do this.
But I'm happy to have the spiritual ones, to say the least. Less crunches involved in that.
Right.
Or fewer crunches. So yeah, roll with the changes. It's the only constant we have in life, right? There's death and taxes for sure, and then there's also change. It's the only thing that's ever made us grow. It's what's evolved us to be at the place where we are now. Unfortunately, it seems like humanity, with all its polarity and argumentation right now, has stopped evolving, and hopefully we will progress to a better stage at some point. But nonetheless, we either adapt or we die. And that's really what this is about, right? You can dwell in the grief. Admittedly, there's grief in divorce, and you could sit and be mournful the entire time. But at some point, you have to get up and you have to move and accept the fact that a major shift has occurred.
I truly wish that I could have learned that so
long ago,
sooner than I did. It
too.
would have changed my life sooner, for the better.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, what do you do when you have, like, for my divorce, I'm the one that filed.
Yeah.
And he was just not happy. He was very angry. It was just a lot of trauma that came along with that. So how do you still come from that spiritual space when you are on the journey to ending something that no longer serves you or is no longer making you happy? How do you come from that spiritual space and not from a space of hatred and anger and frustration? Because I was angry, even though he was the asshole the entire time. But it's his treatment of me throughout the process. I don't know that I would have been able to have a spiritual mindset or be calm and at peace when I went through my divorce.
Yeah. So that kind of skips to number 5, but I'm happy to discuss it now because I don't think there's any particular order to these.
Yeah.
But I think your point is well taken, right? And that is to say, feelings are completely natural, whatever they are, right? Vengeance, or wanting to take vengeance or seeking revenge on someone, is totally a natural thing to think and feel. It's very different if you act on it, right? And to feel angry or sad or upset specifically at that person or what they didn't do during the marriage, or now you're here in this scenario, is totally natural. And I would say, okay. And so my suggestion would be, look, that's a circumstance you have to be in order to get out of it. Okay. It's like grief. You can't skip over it, right? For all the stages that are grief there, right? The 5 stages that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about, right? They're not linear. You go forward 2 steps and then back another, and it doesn't take, it's not overnight. It's usually a long process. And so what I would say is, whatever feelings you're having, feel them and learn how to really dwell within them. And I would argue this is part of the difficulty for guys when they go through this, is they don't necessarily know how to access those feelings and articulate them in healthy ways. And so they cover them up, right? Or they drown them out with other substances or things that are distracting. Women are much better at that, right? They have groups by which they connect with, right? They've always been encouraged to feel their feelings and to share them and articulate them. So my suggestion for everyone would really be, try to be in touch with yourself as much as possible. Be curious about it. Why am I feeling this way? And follow that trail. It's because he did this or she didn't do that. And now we're in this scenario. There may not be anything that you can do about it, but experience the feelings, honor it, and then remember to move on. And I would say not to ruminate them in either. Set a timer for yourself. Set it for like 15 minutes or something like that. Feel the feeling. When the bell goes off, move on to something different. And look, I'm one of those people who feels things differently. It's hard for me to move on to things. You have to learn that about yourself and know when you need to communicate that to people and say, look, I'm not really ready to talk, right? I'm not really ready to go out. I need to be here with this and move on in my own time and in my own way. And that's how being curious can really help and inform you about what's going on, allowing you to grow from that.
I wish I'd known that there was light on the other side when I was divorcing, because I was so stuck in the shadow of all that.
In the moment.
Right.
Yeah. And if anybody is out there and you're going through this kind of thing, there really is so much joy on the other side. Yes, you loved this person. Yes, you thought you'd spend your whole life with this person. Yes, your life was consumed with this life, but sometimes doors open and others close. Like you said, what was the word you said for number 5? Be like curious.
Be curious.
Be curious that the new door that's opening may hold so much more than that door that closed.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And in that way, since you don't know what's on the other side of the horizon, right, you can only guess. Faith is a huge part of that. So you have to have faith in yourself. But more so, I think you need to have that tough hope. There are lots of people who are going through divorce, and you'll share in group therapy over podcasts with people or in conversation with someone else who's gone through divorce, right, what it's like, and you'll feel a little bit more normal. But ultimately, you're really the only one going through divorce. Sure, you might have kids as well. Okay, and they need to adapt to it too, and you need to be a parent for them and demonstrate to them exactly what it's like to get up off the floor and try to not only live and survive, but thrive as well. But tough hope reminds us that we're the only people who are responsible for it. Hope in general is that things are going to get better, right? Maybe there's going to be a savior that comes along, or it's going to be a new day, right? Or something like that. But tough hope is the saying or the idea that we are the only ones who are going to be able to save us. It's not going to be anyone else. We can only really rely on ourselves, right? Sure, there are going to be resources and people out there for support, but the only one who truly makes growth happen is us, right? Because it's our life and our scenario. And so we have to be able to trust in ourselves. That is the tough hope. That's the toughness, knowing that someone 100%. Else isn't coming to rescue us, and that we have to be our own rescuers. And in that way, you're also accountable for your own life.
Yes. Yeah. I learned that the hard way. Oh, go ahead, Jada.
No, I was going to say, because it is kind of a sense of mourning.
Yes.
And it's
100%.
Like such a sense of loss. And for some people, it's a sense of failure. So getting back to that space of like, okay, this just didn't work, but it's going to be, like you said, Christine, so much better on the other side. It's figuring that out and getting to that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that actually leads to the next point, right? Ring the bells. Let me read the full verse from Leonard Cohen. He says, and this is from the song Anthem. He says, ring the bells that can still ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to.
It's a good
Can
one.
you send that to me? Because I really want to.
Sure. Absolutely. It's a beautiful, beautiful lyric, right?
That's
just
amazing.
Laden with real meaning there and stuff to think about. I think the first thing to remember is that perfection is a myth, right? So your marriage failed. Big deal. Lots of things fail, right? The real question is whether you're willing to learn from it or not, right? And this could be failure like it could be failure in just about anything. And the beautiful part about it is that failure, if it does teach you anything, if you're willing to learn from it, you come back smarter and stronger as a result, right? So the first thing is to remember that nothing's perfect, and you have to ring the bells that are still possible to ring, even if other ones have failed, okay? Forget about the idea of perfection and know that embracing the breakage of your marriage failing, of the divorce, of who you are at this time, right, is absolutely really crucial to growth. It's immensely crucial to growth. It's the only way that change and evolution actually happens.
You know, that kind of reminds me of this saying that I say all the time, and it really rung true just now when you were saying that. And it just repeated in my head, and it is, the universe hurts us to help us. And if you really think about it in the way of, say, divorce, that the universe knew that universe can be anything you want, spiritual, God, you know, whatever, catch all. It is your belief system. It is that thing that is there to help you, your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you want it to be. It's their way of saying, look, this doesn't serve you. This isn't the right place for you. You made a decision against our better judgment. You needed to go down that path to learn something. And now it's not the right path for you anymore. It's time to diverge onto this other path. And when you do that and you realize that you're not being punished, that if you're not taking those signs, that it'll go, you know what, I'm just going to do it for you, and it's going to take it away.
Yeah.
And then it's only doing it so that you can be the better person you're supposed to be, or in a space or with the person you're supposed to be with.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens.
There's no question about it. And I would say, look, for anyone who exercises, or this is a great idea in terms of exercising, right? When you really start to exercise, let's say you're lifting weights, right? You're going to break those muscles. That's the whole point, right? And then your muscle fills with the lactic acid as a way of kind of repairing it. And that's what causes the soreness, but because you've broken the muscle. And the idea, though, is that just because the muscle breaks doesn't kill you, right? It doesn't mean you die. The muscle doesn't die out. The muscle comes back stronger once it's healed. And that's what we're talking about here, too. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And divorce doesn't have to kill you. Again, there's a death involved, and you should grieve it, and you should mourn it, and you should move on, right?
Yeah.
With your muscles intact, because your soul and your spirit might break in the same way, and they're just like your muscles, right? They will fill with pain. It'll be difficult. It'll hurt. And yet you will be able to get up and move on stronger and better than you were before because of the breakage. So embrace the break, because it can be really beneficial to your own life.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. I say to clients too, a lot of clients that come to me for matchmaking purposes after divorce, some of them are not 100% healed. And I'll have coaching conversations with them, and they're like, when will this end? Like, when will this feeling of failure or sadness, or when will this end? And I always tell them there's no specific answer to that, because everybody has their own journey. Everybody, some people rush to get into relationships, and some people aren't ready. So go ahead, Christine.
I have an answer for them.
Yeah.
Please.
When you let it go.
Yeah.
When it will end, when you no longer allow it to consume who you are. When you do
release
what
it.
What Noam said, when you walk through the door that's now opened and allow the door to close behind you, and enjoy the new view of who you are, that's when it will go away.
No matter how scary it may look or seem, there's always so much light, like that beautiful quote that you just said. I mean,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And when you break, right, and you allow the light to get in, right, you realize that you're not perfect and that you don't have to be, right? That allows for you to practice, I think, humility, and to hear other people pieces of wisdom that you may not have heard before, right? And to move forward better and stronger and wiser than you were before. But it's because you allowed that light to come in, because of the cracks that are involved, and not needing to be perfect. And all the more so, as you were saying, Christine, right? The letting go, right? That's all about forgiveness. That's what I call it. It's about, stop being angry at whatever it is. And that may take time. There's no question about it. But what we're also saying is that you can't let those people, those events, or even yourself live rent-free in your head, right? You have to get that stuff out, right? Anything that belongs in your head should really earn its way for being there. And if someone's just there because they pissed you off, or they pulled some bullshit on you, or whatever it is, okay, you got to kick them out if they're there rent-free. They don't deserve to be there. They're not serving you, right? And you have to be able to let it go and move on. And that takes a lot of time. It really does.
It does.
But to your point, right, you said before, you got divorced, I think, 13 years ago, right? And only recently have you really come to kind of like let it go. Mary Oliver is a great, line from one of her poems in which she says, someone once gave me a box full of darkness, and it took me years to realize that it was a gift.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. When I think about forgiveness, I realized it's not my place to forgive other people. I don't care about that. It's my place to forgive myself. And what I meant about that when I relate it to my own life is that I forgive myself for feeling like I was not good enough when I was. I forgive myself for thinking I wasn't okay to pick somebody who I really deserved, that I thought I should settle for somebody who was just paying me attention, which was dumb. I forgive myself for my choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't tell you how often I have to go back and think about the decisions I made, right? And there's a certain level of embarrassment and regret that I have. And my self-compassion kicks in and allows me to forgive myself, right? My inner best friend says, dude, you made the best decisions you could with what you had at the time.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe I could have thought through things a little bit more. Maybe I could have slowed down. Maybe I could have been a little bit more patient. That's all things I've learned now as a result. Right. But back then I did it with the best things I had at my fingertips at the time. And I'm still love that guy. And I'm still proud of that guy. Right. Even though he's very different than that guy, even though I'm very different than that guy was so many years ago. But it's because of the forgiveness and the self-compassion that I've been able to kick my own self out of my head. Right. Get out of there.
So we talked about 1, 5, 2, and 3. What was 4?
Well, 4 was forgiveness. We didn't really get into curiosity. We talked about it briefly.
Let's do that. Let's
curiosity about yourself, about people, and what's possible. It's going to be scary and daunting. There's no question about it. But if you approach it, I think, with almost a childlike sense of wonderment and awe, right, you'll come away far more inspired and I think full of gratitude and also willing to help others as well. I don't think there's anything in divorce that's really that scary as to cause us to just kind of sit at home and never leave the house. Okay, so we have to be curious about what's possible with other people, what's possible with ourselves, and certainly what's possible out there in the world for us, because now we have this opportunity to explore the world with a new set of eyes.
You're
so you
getting
have
this
to
new
put them
life.
to work. Yeah. We always talk about a new chapter. Read it.
Yeah, there's 2 things I'd like to say about that. When you said, now I forgot it. Okay, so when I think about, the possibilities, I always think, okay, so if I've come through this hard time or through this darkness and I've grown, imagine how much better what that other thing that's waiting for me is going to be, because if I'm better and healthier and happier, can you only imagine how much better it can be?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it'll be better because you're better for it, and it'll be stronger because you're stronger for it. All that. Absolutely. Because you're a new person engaging that.
Exactly. And when you said, helping somebody, this is why I'm doing this podcast. I'm here to, joke around and have fun and whatever, but that's just who I am as a person, as a personality. But when it comes to this podcast, we're here to help people. That's the whole, I wanted to show people that there was light at the end of the tunnel, that there's, hope out there to find love and to find yourself and a proper way to date. So, and to get through divorce, or to find the right marriage.
And I'm sure a lot of people have felt a great deal of normalization because of that, right? Because of the stories that you're sharing.
Yeah. We talk about a lot of things on this show, and what I try to do is try to talk about the taboo to make it normal. That because there shouldn't be anything that we can't talk about. People used to say to me when I was growing up, you don't talk about politics, you talk about money, and you don't talk about religion.
Yep.
And those are the 3 things you should be talking about the most.
You really want to get to know someone,
These are the things, sexuality, being open, enjoying the process of finding your person. But in that journey, you have to find you. You're the first person that you have to find.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think going out on that hero's journey is exactly how you do find yourself, right? You figure out exactly what you're made of. You figure out what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. You come to embrace all of that. And then you move forward as a stronger individual as a result with those spiritual abs.
I love that. I was at first I was a little nervous because when it comes to religion, I have my own thing, okay, and I'm not religious per se. I grew up super religious. Religion was shoved down my throat, and religion was used as a tool to abuse me as a child. So for me, it's really the religious side is a little bit more tricky. But as I grow and as I learn, I'm starting I got this thing. I listened to this thing yesterday and it was mind-blowing. It's more about spirituality, but it also said that religion was an energy, not so much. And it was said to me, like, don't think God as a physical being somewhere on the other side of the universe. Think of it as an energy just as well as yourself and like everything else around you. It's an energy that should fill your heart, your mind, your soul. And sorry, that moved me.
Yeah.
That really touched me because I thought of it as a person way up in the sky floating on a cloud that was passing judgment on me or punishing me as a person with all these horrible things in my life, and I blamed that. And then I thought, you know what, I can't blame that because everything's an energy, a light energy, a dark energy, a positive and a negative. You can't have one without the other. And I thought it was malarkey when someone told me one time that you choose the life you're in, you choose the challenges. And I was listening to that, and that used to make me angry because I was like, why the actual F would I choose this? Right. But then, because I am who I am today because of it. So why wouldn't I choose it? Because I have all the beautiful things in my life and all my talents and joys because of it. So why would I hate it? Why would I? It changed my whole. I've had it in the last 24 hours. I've had a big spiritual awakening.
Sure.
So talking about this has kind of, made me
raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. Yeah. I'm raw. It's not because I'm sad. It's because I feel joy, but I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm trying to take what you just said and put it into practice by thinking, don't be sad or disappointed in myself for not realizing it before. Accept it for it coming now and embrace it, open it, forgive myself for it, and move into the new who I am, the new door that I'm walking through. So thank you for that.
The next chapter.
Absolutely.
Moving into the next chapter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
And let me say that the tears are beautiful.
Thank you.
When I say spirituality, I don't mean religiosity, excuse me, or dogma or anything like that, right? Yeah. I don't mean tradition or ritual. I mean an attempt to really connect with something greater than yourself and find meaning in it.
I love
and in that way, you talk about God, right? Forget about the old man in the chair with the beard, right?
Yeah.
Think about the God within, right? Which represents, I think, the unlimited potential that we all have, right?
Yeah.
The unlimited potential that we all have.
I love that. That's beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah. Now, Noam, I have a question for you.
Please.
We're out of time. So my question is, do you have steps and tools that that helps people through these 5 steps, these 5 things that you were talking about?
I do, but I don't give the milk away for free. So you're going to have to reach out, and I'll be happy to work with you those steps.
Yeah. How can they find you, or how can they connect with you?
They can connect with me. Send me an email at noamrauscher@gmail.com. NOAMRAUCHER@gmail.com. You can also use my first and last name, Noam Rauscher, www.noamrauscher.com. And you can also find me easily on IG, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Noam Rauscher.
I love that. Now, you're very well-spoken, and your energy is really, really beautiful. I feel a very kind soul from you. I really feel connected to you, and that actually that's just really beautiful. Thank you for that.
All right.
I really do. Anybody who really is even contemplating about going through divorce, or you're going through divorce, or you've gone through divorce and you're still not getting through it, Noam is your man. Please reach out to him. If you want to reach out to the show to find him as well, you are welcome to. So, and I'd love to have you back, Noam, to talk about anything else you want to talk about, because I think you're a fountain of knowledge, and any way that we can reach the people to help them, let's do it.
I'd be happy to. Thanks
I
for
love
having
that.
me now.
So thank you for making me cry today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for
Better
all
you
of
than
your
my kids.
insight. Yeah.
This was a really beautiful show. Thank you.
I
It
appreciate
means
that.
a lot. It
Thank
really
you for having
does.
me on.
Well, we're out of time, and we're actually over time. Haha, sorry.
That's the way it goes.
Raven, I'm sorry. So what I'd like to say is we're going to be back next week, and until then, let's keep it real.
Peace.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.